Hey, Fishing Chronicles 2023. 2023 bass season. What's it going to look like? I tell you one thing, I'm in Gaithersburg, Maryland. It is a beautiful, beautiful day. If this boat was ready, I'd be on the Potomac today, checking out that new Ultrex and live and 360. But we gotta finish the boat. Yesterday, I installed the two dividers for the storage lockers. And today, we're gonna fasten the two sides down. And we're gonna install the back plate that goes along the floor. And we're gonna get these two shelving units put in. And then we have to carpet the tops of the cabinet storage areas. As you can see, I took the front deck off because next is going to be the wiring of all the electronics. Installing the new panel because I ran a dedicated circuit up to the front of the boat. I'm going to use the old 30 amp circuit that was for the trolling motor because I ran a new 6 gauge, actually I think it's a 4 gauge copper wire up for the Ultrex. But we're going to reuse that, the old trolling motor circuit for a dedicated circuit to feed a dedicated panel box that's going to be in the rod storage department. So we got our work cut out for us today. Again, Happy New Year's 2023. It's going to be a great season. We'll see you later. Hey, just getting back to you just to show you a little update. What we basically were able to do is mount down the center storage compartment. If you're familiar with tracker boats, that's the center. And what I did is I opened that center area, took out the tubes, so I have much more room to store more rods. And that goes up and through into there. The problem is that all of the doors or covers for the tops is fit specific to the boat, but after I carpeted everything, I covered all of the existing holes. So everything has to fit perfectly because there's no wiggle room for all three doors that line up from left to right. And that's what's taken so much time, is being sure that I'm putting it in the right spot, because I'm not gonna know if it's in the right spot until I finish the project. And so there's gonna be another door on this side, another door on this side, and then this is the faceplate. That's what we're getting ready to install next. Well, this is the third install. I think we finally got it square and aligned properly. Looking pretty plumb going down. It's been a little challenging, but we have it lined up, so now I'm gonna finish screwing in all the deck boards and the side plates, and then we're gonna be ready to figure out how to go ahead and carpet the doors for the compartments. Well, believe it or not, we have the front storage in place. Cockpit is just floating for right now, but at least it's down on the base. The problem that I ran into is when I was disassembling this front area, when I took it all apart, I failed to write down measurements. And because it has 3 independent storage doors, all of this has to be lined up exact to actually fit everything so there's no gap. And unfortunately, when I took it apart, I did do a couple of short videos to remind me, as well as couple of pictures, but I didn't take any measurements at all. So I'm gonna do a little bit of praying, and we're gonna put some carpet together, and the supporting members that have to go in under this area, the metal brace that supports the wood. There's also another brace that's going to go down here. And as the progress basically continues, I will give you guys some updates. However, the reason I took all this apart is so I could put this carpet down without making a joint. And honestly, I don't necessarily think that it was worth all the work that I put into it. However, after all the carpet's in, the new latches are in, and it's finished, maybe I'll have a different thought. But this has been just an awful lot of work, and the biggest problem is that it's taken over a year to get to this point. If you've been following this build, it started, I believe it was October of last year. So we did have some delays on my trolling motor and miscellaneous parts that we were trying to get for the boat. But honestly, it was a pretty big task what I took on, probably a lot larger than I anticipated. And I kind of got paralyzed in trying to put this puzzle back together. Still have a good ways to go. I got about 2 months before 2023 fishing starts. And with the Big Dog Bassmasters, I'm actually going to be a boater this year. So hopefully the boat will be ready. We'll be able to use those awesome electronics that we got installed. Still have to wire all of that. You guys can see the big pile of wire there, and the wiring there, and wiring over here. I did finish the main wiring fuse panel install some time ago, and I thought that was a big accomplishment. But redoing these boats, if you're able to stay on it and get it done, I think it's probably easier, or take better notes and measurements. We'll be back. Hey, Fishing Chronicles. Well, Finally got these pieces. If you remember, this was just standard wood. Finally got these pieces carpeted. Test fit them. They all seem to probably work. Basically, what happens is on the tracker boats, they have this little piece here, goes along the inside wall, and what that does, that supports this wood that goes like so. Okay, and then what supports the right side is actually this piece of aluminum. That aluminum piece goes up under here like so and is mounted on the edge. And what this does, this gives support to this drawer as well as this board that's going down here, but it sits on this edge. Basically like so. If you can see here, then if you lift it, it's overhanging about 1.5 inches or so when you open and close. So when you step on the front of the bow and then you get up into the main platform, everything kind of assists one another in the actual supporting. So again, what we have to do is everything has to be in exact location because there's not much area for room as we go across. So I figured I would do the left side first, get that done, then the middle, then the far right, and hopefully when I get to the far right, I didn't push it one way or the other to where we're going to have a gap or going to need a gap to where I have to go back and do it a second or a third time like we do on Fishing Chronicles. Unfortunately, there's no directions with this. So we just got to go with what we know and pray a heck of a lot. We'll see you in a little bit. We're back. Well, so far so good, but I got a question for you guys. Anybody have any issues with GoPro Hero 8? When you power it up, the screen doesn't come on. You have to power it on, power it off, power it on, power it off, pull the battery, stand on your head, lift your left leg, and then put the battery back in, and then it decides to start working. We got a media mod for this too, but if anybody's been having any problems with their GoPro Hero 8, let me know. Anyway, back to the boat build. We've been very fortunate. I only had to do one thing twice, and that was to reinstall this one support angle stop. It was just a little too low, but I got all that laid out. And what we're doing is we're using rivets, 3/16 rivets. The actual end of the rivet, because you have carpet, you have aluminum, you have all kinds of stuff that you got to go through. You're going to need yourself a deep rivet that's about 1 inch long. Readily available, you can get, 1/4 inch, 3/16, half, and so on and so forth, but I had to get these off of Amazon. They're 1 inch long. I also got some 3/4, but it's a 3/16 rivet is how we're putting everything back together. I was going to, if you remember, I was like, I'm not really sure how everything's going to line up. I was going to do screws for the initial installation, but then if you have a screw head's going to hold everything up. It's not going to give you a true plumb flat fit. So we said to hell with it. We went with the pop rivets, put the pop rivets in, and everything is nice and secure and strong. We're getting ready to put the last board on. We got to screw that on. And then after we have the door in place, we will bring you another update. And then I'm going to have to go back to being a carpet layer. Just back at the boat build, working on the divider, storage compartments, and installing some gas shocks. So, not really sure if your boat has gas shocks. This is a Tracker 175, 2008, I believe. And I don't believe it had gas shocks originally. I think the middle compartment may have had a spring to hold the front door up, but I'll just give you a real quick tutorial on these gas shocks. So basically, you have this, which is the angle bracket. That would go onto your door, okay? You want to either mount it in or out, depending on however you want to lay it. But what you want to be aware of is make sure this is in alignment with the outside rail where the door actually sits to get its support, because the other end is right there. This height measurement, the magic measurement number, is 2 3/4 inches from the edge of the door, the bottom of the door, to the center of the angle bracket, or whatever you want to call this assembly. Had a rough day today. Everything I've done is 3 times and more. The first time what we did is we mounted this with pop rivets, so it would be a flush fit on the other side of the door. Well, if you're familiar with pop rivets sometimes leave a little too much overhang on the other end, and that's what happened. So we had to end up using some 1032 machine screws with nuts. So we have that installed. Then here, we just used the screws that came with the gas shocks. Now, they've also talked about different poundages of gas shocks. You have 10 pound, 20 some pounds. They have all different shapes and sizes. Based on your door, start with the lower one. See if it works well. If it doesn't work well, go to a larger one. I'm using 10-pound shocks, and what I'm really trying to accomplish is not closing it, having to fight to close it. I want to keep it up. So 10 pounds to keep the door at a 90 degree is what we're looking for. The other trick is, how do you release this little clip that allows that little ball to stay locked in? However you guys decide you want to put this gas shock in, just make sure you have access to this end, because if you don't, you'll never get it off. So this is going to go like so. Okay, to release this you will take like a straight blade mini screwdriver, put it in that little slot right there, wiggle. Be sure not to stab yourself. So if you want to be on the safe side, go this way. Okay, you got it up. There you go. Now we're going to go and install it on this side here. Again, put your screwdriver in. Don't stab yourself, but be careful that it doesn't slip. All right, got it. So now it's in. And it stays up. So this is what it will look like. This really should have been a little more in, but you have to make sure that this will lay down here and it won't bind on this ledge. Hopefully you can see that. The directions for these gas shocks are worthless. You just have to kind of test and fit, but the problem is you have the aluminum doors on the tracker boat, and I polished these out so they would look good because I'm going to put some little decals and stuff on it, but whew, what a job. Then installed the latch. Now we got to put on the front pull. You see how this works. And it won't fall with the wind if you have wind. But if you bring it too far, this is over 10 pounds with the fall rate. But it'll definitely keep it open for you so you don't hit your head and you don't let the door go all the way back to where the trolling motor would get hit. These are the locks that we decided to go with to put in, and that lines up pretty good